defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. Let's address the elephant in the room. You can see the scoreline ahead of me. Manchester City 4, Arsenal 1. And I think one major positive is that it should have been 4-1 at half time as a minimum, really and truly. It should have been 7. We should have really and truly, we should have made groundbreaking new ground in the Premier League for a record scoreline. Let's cut the crap. I love my boys. I love what we've done this season. I love what we've installed off the back of coming back to back 8th and 5th. But isolated to today, not good enough. And in relation to just, you know, on one hand, we would have taken this position in August. Yeah, all of that jazz. We're doing good. If we isolate that and part that off, because two truths can live in the same realm, we part that off and we look at since this becoming champions in the Premier League has become a thing, we've choked at the final hurdle. And let's cut the crap. It was shit today, you know. I know some fans are going to be overly positive if you can somehow find a way. Oh, City, we're going to drop points. We're still ahead and blah, blah, blah. Some fans are probably calling for the manager's head. Every player is shit. Everyone's this, everyone's that. Listen, cope however you need to cope, innit? Do whatever you need to do, innit? It is what it is. But what I would say is, in relation to the mentality of champions, it's what I've been saying for time. And I hate to do this because I've always said I want to be wrong. Haven't got that. We're here in terms of we used to be down here. We're now here. And if you remove that now and stop looking under the gaze of what we used to be for one hand, being a champion's up there. Forget the goals and the swagger and the way City played. They didn't have to get out of second gear. You know, City have everything that we want, and it's hard not to be envious. Players are always thinking off the ball. Evidently, individual quality of Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, all of that stuff. You can't equate for that. You know, street smartness, knowing when, you know, the only time we showed fight is when we're trying to fight them. We're acting Sunday Leagueists. Even in the first half, and Benjamin White and Saka, lovely to see Saka becoming evil, actually. That's the closest they got to taking on a man, really and truly. Nelson done a lot better than Saka. I love Saka. He was tired today, and I hate to be that guy. But looking well, you're not that you can read into the mentality. But when I was doing the watch along, which some of you, big up you lot that was there, I said Saka looked shook. And I'll be honest, everyone looked shook. Everyone was shook. Football's more of a mental game. Players that used to play for City look shook. Players hid. No, but everybody was looking. It's a bit like negatively Arsenal of old. Everybody's looking at someone else to spark it. The last couple of times we've played City in the FA Cup and in the league, we've actually matched them. It's actually been a lot more competitive. This was a scoreline we are accustomed to. Forget the scoreline because that can happen. You could play well against City and still lose 4-1. This was a performance that we were accustomed to against City. Players looked defeated before the first whistle went off. You know, players are not. I didn't understand what was doing. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't want to see. I understood the logic with playing a back three, but I did think Arteta and I did kind of want us to go with what we went through. Some of you that was part of my watch, I know he wouldn't do it, but instantly within that first 10 minutes, somebody needed to come off. We needed to go to a back three. And it was terrible, really. You know, I wanted us to match them, be competitive, you know, love the situation we're in because, you know, as Arsenal fans, we haven't always been in this position. I wanted us to be a bit fearless. I wanted us to relish this because this is where we want to be as a club, fighting for things and stuff. And for me, whether you're a winger, a striker, whatever, you're playing some of the best in the world, let alone the league. This is a chance to see your true level, you know. And this is your first defeat in forever, you know. I wanted us to see our true level. I wanted us to enjoy it, enjoy the moment, and we crumbled. We crumbled before the ball was kicked. You could see that with the lack of quality on the pass, with the lack of options. I don't know. Again, maybe the players were scared and didn't do whatever Arteta told them to do, but it's a bit, we're not playing out from the back, which consistently, which we knew we wasn't going to do, but we're going long. We ain't got a 6-foot striker. We're not exactly kicking it into the channels, you know, so I didn't understand why we're doing that. The ball's just going back. In relation to the last 2 goals, the first and the last, so the fourth for City, they were the goals that you probably knew was going to happen in a sense of on the transition. You knew, to be fair, Holding did a lot better than a lot of guys, but evidently the man's limited, you know. And as I said, he scored and at least he gave City something to look at it from an analytical point. But, you know, you sign up for results like this in crunch periods when you haven't got a squad. I don't think a single player won their individual battles. I think players looked scared. I think it was too open on the transition. I think we was reluctant to really even have a go at Edison. Edison had nothing to do. You know, he probably played a lot more passes than a lot of our players in the first half. And another thing I liked about City is frustrating us, time wasting, even though there was no need for that. Take, you know, Grealish and Haaland pushing people and then acting like nothing happened. Eddie Guerrero settings. These are the things that we need to install. And I think I can say that as a fan, my players were probably thinking the same as they were playing and probably, you know, probably admiring things too much. Evidently, we showed a lack of quality today, a lack of desire, a lack of hunger, a lack of actually caring. And I don't like to say these things about my team, but based on how you played, I can only go off what you play. I don't necessarily believe you don't care, but I didn't see it. You know, Ramsdale made a couple of bad boy saves and kept us in it, but he looked shook today. And at least for 2 of the goals, while our keeper is our last line of defense, we was terrible. You know, we was terrible. We was terrible defensively. You know, we didn't win the midfield battle. We was very open and exposed in that. We didn't defend our box efficiently. We didn't ask questions, you know, apart from when the subs came on, and even in the probably the first 10 minutes of the second half, in which City went and scored again. We showed a lack of game management because you could see the second goal coming, and at a period towards the end of the first half, that's probably what Pep was saying. I want a few more goals. We switched off from a set piece. Everything that we struggle with, City exploited it. You know, City have been waiting for this period, and now they're laughing. They got the FA Cup. It's while they're 2 points behind us. It's back in their hands now. You know, if you want to do the optimistic thing, that's great for you lot. You know, I hope they've got 16 games. I hope they bottle some games, but you've left yourself too much too much to do. And based on the last 3-4 games now, boy, you can forget about beating Chelsea. Well, I don't know because they lost again, but you've got Chelsea, Brighton, Newcastle, a couple of relegation threatened sides. The world don't care that you lot have had a good season, and the nightmares kind of happen now. The world don't care that you lost. You have to stop feeling sorry for yourselves. We showed no discipline today. The pain of discipline hurts, but it hurts a lot less than the feeling of regret, because regret, you can't go back in time. And it's going to be a very sad and lonely journey from Manchester back to London, you know, because you can't go back in time. You let yourselves down. As I said, we needed to come into this game if the same scoreline happened, but we was competitive, we was fighting. Kevin Haaland did all these things that they're accustomed to. What can you say? Big up Kevin De Bruyne as well, because the man, they're littered with quality. To bring off the players they brought off the bench, you know, Foden come and assist Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne 2 goals, 1 assist. They were amazing. They were amazing. Like, and it's not just the quality; it's the way City buy into defending. I'm not just talking about the normal art of defending, taking the sting out of games, frustrating your opponent, taking forever on the restart, giving away a free kick and booting the ball away. That ugly stuff. Until we buy into those sort of ugly facets of football, we are not going to go where we need to go. And I'm proud of what these lot have done this year. But in relation to the Prem, I hope we're back here, but we don't know what's going to happen next year. Who's going to be good, who's not going to be. You need to be able to continue. And as good as this season's been, there's nothing to remember it by. Bottled the Europa League 2-legged tie, bottled today, and been terrible in the few other games, you know. And this is why I always talk about fine margins, because the goals we've conceded now are no different to the goals we conceded in the victories against Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Manchester United, Brighton, Leicester, back at the Emirates. You know, we're an improved defense side, but we're not a good one. Now, we've shipped a lot of goals without Saliba, but it comes into a lot more than that. Players hid. Not a single player can say they did a madness. If you're not the subs, where Jorginho could have done better for one of the goals, Trossard added something. Jorginho did a lot better than the midfielders who played. Nelson actually was taking on his man. Everyone else bottled it. Like Zinchenko didn't want it today at all. Gabriel Jesus was doing a little dribble thing, but not on it. Midfield didn't want it. I got a lot of time for Xhaka because you were ill and that, bottled it. Partey was one of the better crap players, if that makes sense. To be honest, Holden did a lot more than a lot of man, but evidently not well enough. Ramsdale the same. Benjamin White. Everyone was poor. We're in this together. There's no scapegoating. Everyone was poor. We were dead today. We're ultimately not good enough, not street smart enough, not learning the lessons, but we didn't believe in ourselves. We didn't believe in ourselves, you know. It is from a City perspective, perfect. I think early on they pressed us high. They smelt the nervousness. They capitalized on the no real options for the man in possession and the gaps. And on the topic of no man in possession, just a lack of quality and care for the ball, really and truly. You know, they were limiting the space. Obviously, Pep went with a free and then kind of changed it towards the end of the game, but he went with a free. They suffocated us, really. You know, and we're quite lucky, you know. There was a lack of bravery and street smartness. But before they got their second, we were very lucky in the 25th, 28th, 35th, and ultimately the 40th minute where Ramsdale made a double save, really. You know, we're leaving a lot of gaps. Holding's charging out of defense. Even the fact of Holding charging out of defense. Him and Gabriel, there's a lack of communication. They're always wrong side. It's just terrible goals to concede, man. Terrible goals to concede. And as much as it's that, it's a mental game. City believed in themselves. We didn't. And we're lucky that, you know, VAR tried to bust us. Great defensive performance from VAR, trying to see what's going on with the Ben White thing. Don't know if it should have been a penalty in the first couple of moments, but from start to finish, we was never at it. Never at it. Never at it. Odegaard, never at it. Not a single player, not at it. And I'm disappointed in every one of you. Odegaard, I'm not a scapegoat thing, but that's your 100th appearance for the club. bit like Zinchenko in a couple, it might have been Southampton, West Ham, or Liverpool, where he made his 100th appearance in the Premier League. It's not really been good, man. I did think Arteta was damned if you do, damned if you don't, but ultimately we showed a lack of bravery in all aspects of the club. Like, we're making subs when the game's really done. You know, we showed our naiveties and we've shown there's a good foundation, but ultimately it's too premature to talk about leagues and that. And I told people, not even away with the league, don't let what we're doing, and we've earned the right because we've been winning, think we're on the level we're not. The dark arts of this game is not there. And these boys need to take it as a lesson, because if you're here next year, Liverpool will be back, United will be back, whoever. We want to be competitive. They wanted to. If you think this is what City's doing, you know the Champions League group stage in whatever format it is crazy. If you're doing that at the Etihad, what do you think is going to happen at Bayern Munich? Where we know what happens at Bayern Munich. What do you think is going to happen at Madrid? I mean, last time we won at Madrid, but we're not that anymore. What do you think is going to happen? So let this be a sobering reminder. If anyone thinks they're too good for themselves right now, if anyone thinks they've achieved anything, get the hell out of the club, because nothing's been achieved yet. You've not done anything. City are a team that's done it. You ain't done nothing. And I don't know what's going on. I don't see leaders. We had a back, fair enough. Like, I don't see leadership. Young players all old. You know, I'm not gonna just do all this. You're rubbish. Saka, Martinelli, you're my guys, but not involved. Xhaka, not good. Partey, some decent moments, some not. Meaty, letting Jack Grealish, and I respect it, just trolling all of our team, peeing you all off. Saka probably wants to beat him up, but they'll be friends. Terrible today. And that's because I don't think you lot ever believed you could win today, regardless of what Arteta or you lot might say before the game or after. You didn't believe. I don't know if it was the atmosphere. Don't know if it's our poor form. You lot didn't want it. You crumbled from the start. Obviously, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But there weren't bravery. Even though we've lost the last two games, it's well 3 now, but the 2 prior to tonight against a team like City, them defeats were better. Fundamentally, you've lost them. It's about winning. But there was what was missing. Obviously, there's a lack of personnel. It's just naive. What you do off the ball makes the game, and players are walking. Games like this, everybody has to do a bit more. Whether that's showing a bit of bravery. There might be incidents on the transition. You're the left winger, but you might sprint all the way back and help us, and you're in the right back position. This is what City were doing. City showed why they're City. They didn't have to get out of second gear. Their kits are all clean, apart from when we was kicking players and someone like Grealish, he's doing the rattling thing. We can't be tired. No one could be saying they're hungry. You don't need to walk back to Manchester. And I love you lot. I love what you lot have done. But today you broke my heart. You broke my heart. You broke my heart twice this year. You know, you broke my heart twice. And again, it's not necessarily the result. Obviously, the result hurts. But I can accept losing it because it comes with football. It's how we're playing. You didn't let City come and take it over our dead body. It didn't happen. This and Everton away, terrible from start to finish from you lot. Fair enough, you grabbed the goal. I don't even remember if we scored against Everton. West Ham would be our most frustrating performance for me. You know, and I hate when people say you ain't got heart. I don't think it's a mentality. I do think the mentality is improved in comparison to what Arsenal needed. But I need to stop looking in the past now and judge us for what we are. We need to go up several gears. And as much as it's about evidently bringing in other players and curtain raisers, and if not curtain raisers, people that can come in moments like this when there's injuries and plug gaps, the mentality, bringing in players and signing players is sexy. That's the sexy part of football. The tough part is doing what City done, for the transformation from when Pep's won his first title, what Liverpool done. I think Liverpool's the best example, because if you remember, Klopp was heavy metal from start to finish. They were just, then they improved their outlook defensively, and it was reflected at the time when they brought Van Dijk and Alisson in. We need to become a lot more street smart. We need to find a medium when things are not going well. We need to learn to, to do these things off the ball. We need to learn to manage ourselves. Arteta, I love you. I think you're doing a lot of good stuff, but it's another game where you showed naivety. You're the manager. Was that the best way to start the game? Could we have changed things early doors when it was clear that, we needed to counteract that back three and just simply be a lot less open on the transitions and kind of flood that really? It's another game, really, with the subs and that, where there's been a few this year. Every player lacked enough desire today. I don't know what it is, but no one can say they done a man. No one can say they played well. Clearly, in many ways, it feels like 4-1. It's 7-1, and that's what hurts me. Listen, there's no shame in losing to Pep, in it. There's no shame. They're the big bad bullies. There's no Premier League like life isn't Disney Channel. But we're too nice. Nice guys finish last, and I know we're not finishing last, but do you get it? Terrible today. You can't deny it. Shit. shout out to Nelson. You tried the thing, Eddie, whatever. Ramsdale, you made a couple saves, but it was meaty today, man. Man, look, Donnies were nervous. And I understand why you're nervous, but at the end of the day, this is a privilege. Some of you have been here when Arsenal have been in darker times. You know, some of you didn't expect to be here in August. So play like it. Play like you'll never be here again. Like the smile is gone, the swagger is gone, the confidence is gone. And if you're not confident in your own ability, you're not. Holding played a lot better than Bearman. And it's not, I don't care who played better than who, because we're in this together. That should be damning. That a player that nobody wanted to start today scored and actually had a chance before that and was a lot better. He kills me though. A man was doing the weak thing when we lose these guys on bets, man. But what can you say, man? There's nothing else you can do. All you can do is try and finish the season as high as possible, win his games as many as you possible, and credit to City, man. Like, we'll be here all day praising City and Mikel, and definitely not Mikel Arteta, and Pep Guardiola. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button. Thank you for listening to my, 2 seconds, 60 minutes. I'm gonna love and leave you. Look, don't forget, people. It's watch along business. We'll be watching Tottenham against Man United tomorrow.
You always use that active red flag, defending.
I think it's like